If you've been following every twist and turn in the search for Lily and Jack Sullivan, you already know it's been a journey marked by heartbreak and unanswered questions. If you haven't yet, please subscribe now and hit the bell so you'll be the first to know whenever the RCMP or new eyewitnesses provide fresh leads. It's that public vigilance and collective pressure that keeps this case alive. Recently, a seasoned detective who's been quietly advising the RCMP came forward to clarify what investigators want us to understand and what they can't yet reveal. Here's what police tells us about the missing children.
To be clear, we don't have evidence to suggest that an abduction took place at this time.
Is it something you're still investigating, whether or not they could have been abducted?
So we're exploring all investigative avenues. So on the morning of May 2nd, approximately 10 a.m., RCMP officers received a call about 2 missing children in Lansdowne Station. The information at the time was that they wandered off away from the property, and I can tell you that our officers got at the scene very quickly, and we were monitoring the situation and hopefully finding the children very soon after that.
So it's very quickly. Officers arrive, and then what? You expected, it sounds like you're saying, that you'd find the children quickly, or hoped you would anyways. That didn't happen.
So Kayla, what I can tell you, from experience, you look at missing children. I've been involved with a handful of cases since I've been with Strategic Communications. Most oftentimes, the children are located very quickly after officers arrive at the scene, right? And that's our hope every single time, that they wandered off and you can find the children. Because I'm sure, like every officer out there, I'm not on the road currently, but your heart is pounding, the adrenaline is rushing, you're trying to find those children, right?
This case started just like that?
That's
what you're
correct.
Describing, you thought you'd go there, find them very quickly.
Yeah, absolutely. And our officers were nearby in an ongoing search for a kayaker that had gone missing the day prior. I can tell you I was monitoring the situation remotely, and our officers, I could tell they were getting there as quickly as possible.
There are some, as you are aware, many theories out there. Some people think, well, maybe it's really just a tragic accident. Maybe they just wandered off into the woods. But you've said that it's suspicious. So at the very least, why does the RCMP view this case as suspicious?
So every missing person's investigation is suspicious until it's proven that it's not. If we don't have that information to say that it's not suspicious, we have to continue to assume that it is suspicious and access those resources and tools and follow up those tips and find that evidence until we find the people that are missing.
So you don't think they were abducted, but you can't find them. How do 2 young children just vanish?
That's a great question, Kayla. And we are asking for the public for tips and information. And to date, we've received close to 500 tips. So we have to follow up on those tips, right? Whether it's a tip that indicates that there could be something that happened elsewhere in the province, elsewhere in the country, we have to follow up on those investigative tips to rule them out. And to this date, we haven't had any confirmed sightings.
But there have been tips that lead you to other parts of the country that you had to check.
As with any investigation, oftentimes we do get tips that you have to verify that are elsewhere, yes.
You have said that the children were last seen alive the day before. Can you tell me about the nature of that?
So we know they were seen in public with loved ones the day prior. The specifics aren't being released at this time.
Okay, and so that's the day before, so that's May 1st, but you've specifically asked for video back to April 28th. What's the reason for that?
When you establish a timeline for any investigation, you want to know where these individuals were prior. They may have been in contact with someone that you want to know who that person is. You may see something on that footage that you didn't know about prior to that. We talked about license plates earlier and seeing them from a different angle. You might see someone that's known elsewhere. Maybe it's someone that's known to police. You never know. We really are seeking all investigative avenues in this case.
There have been some complaints that an Amber Alert was not issued. I understand that the criteria is very specific. Was that considered? Is it still possible?
Absolutely, Kayla. On the day of the incident, I can tell you I was working. I reviewed the policy that morning. We have to have a suspect or a person of interest when it comes to abduction or a vehicle. In terms of sending out an alert, when you send an Amber Alert, you want to direct the public to look for a specific vehicle, to look for that license plate, to look for that suspicious person, to have a photo of someone or more information to suggest that there was an abduction. In this case, they are young children, certainly vulnerable people, and a vulnerable person alert was issued.
Does the RCMP know what happened here? Even if you can't tell me, do you know?
So what I can tell you is that we're exploring all investigative avenues.
Do you have a case? Are you building a specific case that's leading you in a certain direction?
In this case, the investigation is still being investigated under the Missing Persons Act.
It sort of seems from the last news release that you issued, the reason I'm asking these questions, I read that news release and I thought, I don't think they have any idea what happened here.
You know, when it comes to missing people, it's very complex. It can be very long-term investigations. It can be difficult on first responders, especially when it involves vulnerable people. And we have to be patient, and we have to follow the leads and follow the facts and evidence that we gather to bring us to locating the children.
Does the RCMP think Lily and Jack could still be alive?
That's a great question, and we want to locate them and find them. And our goal is to investigate every single avenue until we find them.
Is it possible at this point?
That's a great question, and our role is to find them in the evidence surrounding their disappearance.
You mentioned a lot of the tips you're getting. I'm sure you're aware there's extraordinary public interest in this case. Some people are frustrated that the RCMP is not saying more. We understand it's an active investigation. And in some cases, the lack of information leads to speculation, and rumors are rampant online, and that's done some harm on the family in this case as well. What, though, would you say to the public who are begging for answers and just want to know what's happened here?
We have to be patient and certainly rely on our news releases and official sources of information. Don't listen to those rumors that are out there. We're putting out those news releases on a regular basis with information pertaining to the investigation. We have to be very cautious as to what type of information we release because we want to make sure that it doesn't affect the investigation.
I think some people in the public are starting to wonder, is it possible that we may never find out what happened to Lily and Jack? Is that possible?
I wouldn't be able to answer you that question today, but I can tell you that our investigators are seasoned. They are committed. I've worked with some of them personally prior in my career, and I can tell you that they are committed investigators to this missing children's investigation.
He stressed that despite the rumors of immediate abduction, the RCMP has found no concrete evidence of foul play. That's a big statement this early, said retired Major Crimes Inspector Jim Hoskins, because it usually takes physical proof to publicly rule out abduction. Yet investigators have said it plainly. We have no reason to believe this was an abduction, the detective reiterated. At the same time, he emphasized, we're keeping an open mind on all possibilities. That deliberate ambiguity is crucial. In missing child cases, prematurely settling on one scenario, whether wandering from home or forced removal, can blind you to other leads. Now, months after the disappearance, the RCMP acknowledges that their initial assumption of a straightforward wandering case may have caused them to overlook certain areas. They've since recalibrated their search strategy, expanding beyond the immediate yard and pipeline trail into utility corridors and disused rail lines. It was in just such areas that a new eyewitness recently came forward, describing two small figures near a hidden railway embankment. Investigators are now retracing those witness steps with a focused search, thermal drones at dawn, K9 teams following faint scent trails, and forensic mapping of fresh footprints. The detective also addressed the timeline. Early reports suggested Lily and Jack vanished within 20 minutes of stepping outside to play. But his team's painstaking timeline reconstruction, cross-referencing cell tower pings, vehicle telemetry, and surveillance camera timestamps, has revealed gaps of an hour or more that were previously unaccounted for. That means we could have missed critical moments, he admitted. Redrawing those windows could be the breakthrough needed to discover where the children went or who they encountered. Forensic efforts, meanwhile, continue on multiple fronts. That pink blanket is being tested with the latest DNA phenotyping methods to identify any unknown profiles, snippets of DNA from a second person who may have touched it. Soil and fiber analysis aims to trace it to specific terrain or vehicle upholstery. Dentists and pediatricians have even pawed over medical log for undocumented second-hand reports of injuries or bruising, following up on earlier claims from a relative about bruises on Jack's arms. The RCMP insists those medical files were reviewed, but would not comment on any findings. Community members haven't stood idle. Volunteers now formed search pods that combine K9 teams, thermal imaging, and citizen-sourced drones, systematically tagging every coordinate in a shared GIS database used by police. High school students launched a Watch With Me app that reminds locals to check their doorbell or dashcam footage, especially from April 28th to May 2nd, for any sign of Lily's rainbow boots or Jack's dinosaur print rubber shoes. Meanwhile, the detective highlighted that over 11 distinct RCMP units are now collaborating: major crime, digital forensics, behavioral sciences, marine recovery, polygraph, and even underwater search and rescue. Court rulings have authorized the seizure of mobile devices, vehicle GPS logs, and social media metadata to triangulate every movement. Still, no person of interest has been publicly named, and the detective stressed that all family members remain cooperative witnesses, not suspects. Public reaction reflects both hope and frustration. Some applaud the RCMP's renewed rigor, broadening the search perimeter, embracing scientific techniques, and leveraging community resources. Others criticize the initial assumptions, questioning why the RCMP declared no abduction prematurely. Online forums light up with debates over trail cam footage, arguing whether a fleeting shape in the trees is Lily or Jack, or a false positive. Yet the detective urged calm. Speculation can muddy the waters. We need concrete evidence delivered through proper channels. As summer wanes and foliage thickens, the urgency intensifies. New thermal imaging flights are scheduled for early September, when the undergrowth begins to die back and heat signatures stand out more clearly. Undercover surveillance along the forgotten railway corridor will run hourly every dawn for the next month. Forensic anthropologists have been consulted on the remote chance the children may have suffered an accident or become lost in a ravine. Through it all, the Sullivan family keeps faith. Daniel and Malia continue to share their gratitude and vulnerability in heartfelt video updates, reading messages of support from across the globe and reiterating their plea, "We just want our babies home." Step-grandmother Janie Mackenzie stands with them, her strength a quiet beacon in the face of unrelenting pain. Every new strategy, every fresh piece of evidence, each could be the key to solving this heartbreaking mystery. If you have any information about activity near Gellock Road or that railway corridor on May 2nd, please call the RCMP Major Crime Unit at 902-896-5060 or Nova Scotia Crime Stoppers at 1-800-222-TIPS. You can remain anonymous. Your memory, your observations, could be the lifeline that brings Lily and Jack home. Until we hear those footsteps approaching again, we will continue to follow every lead, challenge every assumption, and keep you updated with every confirmed development. Thank you for staying vigilant, sharing this story, and being part of the community that refuses to let Lily and Jack become just another unsolved case.